And we're good to go. So, a very good evening, everyone. On behalf of Naredko Mahi, it is my absolute pleasure to extend a warm and heartfelt welcome to all our participants, esteemed guests, and distinguished speakers present with us today. Thank you for joining this edition for the Mahi Talk. Our platform is dedicated to empowering women leaders and enabling meaningful dialogue and showcasing transformative ideas, shaping the real estate and allied sectors. Mahi Talks have always been spaces where knowledge meets inspiration, and today's session promises exactly that. It is my honor to introduce our keynote speaker for the evening, Ms. Raji Ayur, a visionary professional who proudly calls herself a nature connector. For the last 27 years, her mission has been to reconnect people with nature and their roots through landscape and biophilic designs. Her remarkable career spans Australia, India, and Singapore, reflecting her global perspective and deep commitment to sustainable human centric environments. Ms. Raji is not only a practitioner, but an influential thought leader in the field of biophilic design. Her work and insights have been featured across leading magazines, TV channels, and newspapers, further strengthening her voice in this evolving discipline. Demonstrating her belief in lifelong learning, she recently completed the prestigious Goldman Sachs 10K program at IIM Bangalore in December 2023, where she received the Best Business Plan Award, which is a testament to her agility, adaptability, and entrepreneurial excellence. Deeply rooted in her culture and community, Ms. Raji actively supports temples and goshalas in South India and spends her time in her native village, nurturing auspicious plants for her ongoing research. Her dedication, values, and contribution to the ecosystem have also been recognized by Naredko Mahi, making her a proud recipient of the Mahi Empower Her Award. We are privileged to have her with us today. And guiding today's conversation, we have with us Ms. Sukanya, which is the Vice President South for Naredko Mahi, who is known for her strategic leadership, her commitment to amplifying women's voices across the sector, and her ability to drive thoughtful, high impact dialogue. She will be moderating today's session and steering us through what promises to be an enriching discussion. But before we begin, I would like to invite Dr. Anshul, Vice President West, to share a few insights to set the tone for this Mahi.
Thank you so much, Bhanvi, and indeed a pleasure to present another international Mahi talk. I suppose this is fourth one in the series, and yes, friends, more to come. And here today, when we have a nature connector right here with us, I think she doesn't need any different introduction because these are the strongest words a landscape architect and a designer can definitely put forward. I'm really grateful that Raji agreed for this talk today. And in line, when we have speakers from Bangladesh carrying from Hong Kong, Dubai, we have Raji Iyer joining in right from Singapore. A great moderator and a visionary. And I'm really glad that she has agreed to take up moderation for today and setting the tone in a most wonderful way. So, friends, of another internal Mahi Talk.
Thanks, Anshu.
Over to you, Sukanya, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Banvi. Thank you, Anshul. Good evening, everyone. I'm genuinely so happy to be in conversation with someone whose journey feels so heartfelt and relatable. Mrs. Raji grew up as a shy little girl who found her joy in her grandfather's garden. And somewhere between those quiet childhood moments and her deep connection with nature, she found her purpose. Today, that purpose has translated into more than 40 million square foot of landscape design across India, Singapore, Africa, Sri Lanka, Australia, and even a bit in Thailand. So she leads two award-winning firms called Deep Roots Design and Living Products, and has worked with global brands like Taj, Microsoft, Google, Infosys, and Capital Land. She has designed over 40 million square foot to date. Being a very powerful advocate for women in design, Raji founded an all women office in 1998 and continues to empower her team through financial literacy, mentorship, and holistic well being. Her work and leadership have earned numerous accolades, including the Isola Landmark Award, the Real Woman Award, and the 2024 National Empower Her Award. Raji's passion for culture, community, and environmental stewardship makes her an inspiring voice in biophilic and regenerative design. I think we'll be discussing about that later. So I'm very happy to welcome you again, Raji. Now, for me, coming from a developer's background, I've always admired how countries like Singapore treats landscape not as a beautification but as a strategy, as climate resilience, as a community well-being, and as an identity in itself. So
Correct.
today's conversation is really about what Singapore does right, what India can adapt, and ultimately how landscape can empower people, especially women. Raji, thank you for being here. So I would just like to start off with our questions. Now,
Sure.
during our brief exchange, you had mentioned about your presentation to Mr. Ratan Tata and Mr. Chandra. I would be very happy if you could share a moment about that.
Thanks a ton. And before I even start, I would like to thank Anshul and, of course, the leadership of Mahi to consider me as one of the speakers today. It's an honor to be here. And I know Mahi is also doing a great job in trying to empower women in real estate. And so I'm very happy to do my little bit out here. Thank you, Sukanya. I'm sure we're going to have a ball today. And thanks, B, for all the arrangements. And thanks, Anshul, for the initial talk as well. So, yes, very happy to be here, ladies. I'm Raji Aya, owner founder of Deep Roots Design and Living Products. I call myself as a nature connector. And I personally feel if you can't connect to nature, you can't connect to yourself. So the incidents about meeting Ratan Tata was one of the pinnacles of my life. I just adored him a lot, and it was one of those situations wherein it's like those aha moments that happens to you. It's like a lottery that you get, and I mean even more happier than getting a lottery, of course. That's because I was designing the TCS training center, which was designed by Richard Meyer from New York. I was flown to New York to work with them and work on the concepts and everything. And then we came back and presented to Ratan Tata, Mr. N. Chandra, as well as, of course, Mr. Late Cyrus Mistry, all three of them in one room. And I have a photograph with them, which is, I think, absolutely priceless. But what I took away that day is I was the only lady in the room that day, and I was the shortest one as well. All of them were really towering. And Sir walked in dot on that time. It's like you could actually check the clock. He would just walk in exactly on that second, and he noticed I was the only lady there. He walked up to my desk and pulled the chair for me to actually sit on the desk, offered us tea, and so humble. And that's when I went back and I told my team that if a person of that stature can be so humble, and I do have a letter written by him to my husband as well. There's another story to that, and I asked him to sign a book for me as well, and which he did. But I was just saying he was so humble and so down to earth, and I think we all should emulate that, and we have to leave our ego behind, and it doesn't help at all in the journey. So that was one very nice incident and something that has been etched in my mind of how I run a business. Beyond that, we always run our business with empathy. So that's when we pivoted as well. So it was a very important situation, or very important thing that happened in my life at that point.
Great. It's fantastic to know about this. Now, with respect to working with Richard Meyer, folks like Richard Meyer, what was this entire how are Indian architects perceived by, the Western folks? That's something I'm really
Yeah,
curious. Probably after this, we will delve into the
of
actual
course. Yeah, there are some things I should be very mindful about what I say. We are in the open forum, but yes, to some extent, we have to hold our ground many a times, because it did happen that there were certain ways of how they perceived us as designers. They assumed certain things, they had a different perception of certain things, but they don't realize that India has gone way ahead. And we in India, or when we work in India as well, we follow most of the state of the art technology, or any of the new materials, or way of working is also absolutely international standards. So in those days, I think this was about 15 years ago, nearly about 12 to 15 years ago, I really had to kind of put double the effort to get that, to make him to trust me, make him realize that I know what doing, I understand what I'm going to do as well, and what is the best for the site. So I kept telling them that site is important, the project is important, project comes first, project comes first. I kept on pushing that ahead as an agenda, and I realized that it can't be his ego, my ego, anybody's ego, but the project has to do well. And that helped because Mr. N. Chandra, I presented him a few times on, we did about 8 TCS projects. So I understand how he thinks, I understand how they wanted the spaces. So I knew exactly what was expected from me. So I think I got a lot of support from them as well to be able to convince him on the design. But yes, it is a bit of a challenge. It's much better now than what it was 15 years ago, for sure.
Amazing journey, I'm sure it would have been.
It was. I still remember all those anecdotes. I will share the screen as well because so that we can discuss about the topic that we're going to do today, and then of course
Okay,
we can take it from there. Just let me
perfect.
know once y'all can. I'll take that share screen, and I'm sure the PPT is coming up. And yes, we all are good to go.
Okay, great.
Yes,
Now, see, there's right now any forum we open up, let that be IGBC or anything related to sustainability. First thing that everyone talks about is climate change, and it's become very critical right now. Earlier, when we were young, always it used to be something like it's going to happen in 2050, but already we are staring at a lot of new happenings. For example,
correct.
smallest rain, like a cloudburst, there's 100 mm rain, then
100%.
entire roads are flooded, etc. So the intent behind these designs, for
True.
instance, like, what would be the long-term solution for all this? Like during one of our exchanges, you had mentioned about spawn cities, etc. How do they
Correct.
mitigate flooding?
So what happens? Sponsit is a kind of a recent phenomena, and it's become very popular now recently because of certain spawn cities that were built in China. And there's a very good example in Thailand, in Bangkok. It is called as Benjakiti. And I recently visited it 6 months ago just to check it out. It's an awesome place. So what they are trying to do is hold all the surface runoff in a particular place and let it soak slowly into the ground. So that's why the word sponge, because the entire the soil, the composition, the design, the surface drainage, the contouring, everything is designed in such a way that water can stay and then go in down slowly. The problem with the flooding is that the water comes in so fast and we're not able to mitigate it, nor are we going to hold it, and then it floods into everything. So they thought, can we plan all the stormwater system and everything so that we can collect the water at a particular point and then slowly get it into the ground? We have a different problem in Singapore. Singapore is, of course, surrounded by sea, and with the sea levels rising and stuff like that, we need to push the water out very quickly. And we have rains practically every, I think, in a week. Today also it's raining, so in a week we'll be having at least 3 to 4 days of rains. So we
Mhm.
have a lot of water. We don't have a water scarcity as I said. We have a lot of water. So what Singapore has to do is we have to only hold water for some time so that
Mhm.
there is not a kind of a huge flood happening. It's happened a few times. Some of our underground metros or some roads or some areas have flooded once in a while in a city. There has been some cases some years ago, but we started doing this like, not centralizing all the stormwater system, decentralizing them, having certain pockets or certain reservoirs where we can hold the water and then release it slowly into the sea. So we actually hold water and release. So in India, when I design something, we would try to retain the water because we get rain only for 3 to 4 months. We're trying to save the rainwater. So we will use say Versi tank, or we'll have underground rainwater, harvesting tanks and things like that. But in Singapore, we hold it for some time and we release it. So there's a
Mhm.
big difference in how we do it. But spawn city is another concept where many people are following this, where they're seeing because of the flash floods and the kind of climate change that's happening, we're seeing a lot more of this heavy downpours, sudden downpours, and sudden flooding. So spawn city is absolutely a very new topic, and many people are getting into it as well. So
And
one
more.
good example in Singapore would be a Bishan Park, something very similar, wherein they are at least, letting the water go down slowly, flow slowly, and then collect.
Mhm. And even conservation of marshland areas, like that's been another topic of discussion, wherein like
Yeah,
there's a need to conserve all that so that water wherever it needs to move, it has memory and it just moves in.
true.
Now,
Correct.
Singapore, if you look at Singapore, it is well known for its guidelines and designs. The intent behind these
True.
designs is very cautious, and several guidelines when you design, it has to be followed, and you need to arrive. So it would be great to understand how Lush 0.3 guidelines is
Yes.
helping. So Lush is typically landscape for urban spaces and high rise. So
Correct.
that
So
is.
today's topic was about empowering through landscape, and I thought how best, if I can talk about what Singapore is doing and leading an example to empower the planet, basically, with some of these guidelines that we follow in Singapore, which is compulsory as well. And then in the second part of the whole session, we can talk about how we can empower a user using landscape itself. So it can happen through not just me, but every landscape architect. So
Okay.
to come back to the first part, I think some of the simple examples that I would use out here is because Singapore wants to be known as a city in a garden. Slowly, we are moving into a term called as city in a forest. We want to move from a garden to a forest very soon, and now we're shifting towards biodiversity as well. Okay, so this is a change that the government is expecting will happen slowly. But some of the guidelines we follow, like you said, as Lush, URA guidelines, ABC water. So these are some of the things that we follow also in design. So what Lush actually means is it is for landscaping for urban spaces and high rises. That's why LUSH. Now, what it says in a very simple language, it says, can you please, please, please add greenery, nature in every aspect of the building design? It can be on rooftops, it can be on verticals, like you see out here. You can even have green walls. I'll just pick up a pointer. You
Mm.
can do green walls like this, you can do podiums. And if you notice, most of the podiums are porous also. So you can have the landscape flowing under the building as well. You will have even the parking will also have some kind of a green facade. You'll have planting on the bottom, lower area, the ground area as well. And most of the parking is in basements. You will rarely see surface parking in Singapore, unlike India, where you have a lot of surface parking. Okay, so
Mm-mm.
people will go down into the basement. You'll just have visitor parking on the surface, but you won't see that kind of surface parking because most of the land is then taken up for the softscape. So,
Mm-mm.
in simple language, what it says is that if all these green things that you see, if you pull out the green, if your
Mm.
site is say 1 acre of site, they are
Mm.
saying, can you demonstrate and give us at least 1 acre of green? It can be on a rooftop, it can be on the ground, it can be in the podium, it can be on the vertical, it can be ledges, it can be anything. But can you at least match up? If not match up, they are also allowing for certain percentage because they know it is tough to do 100% to 100%. They also allow for 70% when you're on the periphery. If you're
Mm.
not in the city center, typically in the city center, they expect 100%. That
Okay.
is, if your site is 1 acre, we need to see 100, 1 acre of greenery. But if you're slightly on the outskirts, they allow for a 70%. So if it's a 1 acre site, 70% of that can be green. So minimum softscape is 40%. In India, we do 10% as RG or
Yes,
sometimes
everyone only
20% as RG. Your EC will ask for 20%, MOEF will ask for 20%. But here they require 40% minimum.
Okay.
Okay, so they have certain guidelines of how this 40% can be got. So there are certain complicated formulas also, like especially this is a green plot ratio where you want. So what it typically says is that suppose there's a tree, they would have given you LAI, that is a component that you multiply into the canopy area. If the canopy of the tree was say 60 square meters into the LAI, suppose it is based on the species, they'll say whether it is 2.5, whether it's 2. When it is evergreen, it is dense, it is very shallow leaved. Based on how much leaf cover it will give, they have this multiplication index LAI. Okay, so based on that, you multiply the canopy area and the number of trees, you'll get the quantity. So they will use the total quantity of shrubs, trees, ground cover, everything, and then they'll divide it by the plot area. So they say you should try and get at least 4.
Mm-mm.
So that is how the calculations are done in this. I mean, how they do the calculations when you go for permissions and stuff like that. And we also have some, we have IGBC Gold and Griha and all that stuff. So in Singapore, we have two things. One is the green mark, which is typically used for the built mass, that is buildings and stuff. And then we have something called as LEAF, which is mostly only for the landscape. That is a softscape part of it.
Mhm.
So it is called as Landscape Excellence Assessment Framework. So they would use that as well to give you certain criteria, whether it's a gold or a platinum. And they have certain criteria on how accessible, how much of biodiversity have you done, how are you engaging the community in the landscape, and is there any innovation elements also in your design? How are you maintaining it? Is it easy to maintain? Is this environmentally sustainable as well? What you have done, the materials you have used, all that stuff. So it's a proper, it's a proper guideline again that everybody has to follow. So what I see is that they have been able to put certain rules which are very strict for you to be even, you without all these things, you can't even start a project or, go ahead with the project as well. So that's why all these things become absolutely important. And then recently, Singapore said, look, I know it's a tight country, we've got a tight site. Of course, the site is very expensive. The developer has to make money when he's going to make a building out of it. And if you tell him to put too much of green, where is the, the saleable area becomes less, all that stuff. So they came up with the sky-rise greenery as well, especially for tall buildings. And they said vertical greenery, that is on the facade of the building, will be considered. 10% will be taken for the landscape, and you can even do rooftop garden. So rooftop green is also considered into these calculations. So this was after a few years of discussion, seeing whether it's working, not working. The landscape fraternity discussed with NParks as well as the URA, and then they keep evolving. So they evolved into this, and they said, look, we will allow you to consider these things as well. So then it comes, when you say vertical greenery, it can be green walls, or they even allow climbers on vertical facade. Like the OSS building is just covered by climbers all the way through. So that is also considered. And in that climbers also, they will come and check whether it is only one species. Have you
Okay.
used multiple species? Is there any biodiversity?
Oh,
Is it
so
going to
much
attract
serious.
butterflies and birds? Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, very, very, very serious
So
about all this.
every, like, literally your entire bill of materials similar to that language, like all your spec is checked, like based on your
Absolutely.
after delivery. Hmm.
Absolutely, absolutely. So even your vendors, if they are going to supply something to you, they'll have certain guidelines that they have to follow as well. So when
Mhm.
you're doing intensive landscaping for the rooftops, so what should be the typical sections? Now, of course, we can all do rooftop gardens, but what about the loading? What about the waterproofing? What about the services? Those are the challenges I typically get asked when I, suggest something like this in India. Then how are we going to do it? How is the drainage going to work? Are we going to do drain cell kind of a system? Are we going to use drain boards? How are the surface drainage going to be taken off? Waterproofing is a major problem for us. So especially in projects like many of our projects in Chennai and other places, we asked to do double slab system so that the
Mhm.
planters are an independent slab altogether so that we don't have leakage issues, because workmanship is something that many of us can't control. So we prefer to do a double slab system. Of course, the cost increase, but I always tell the clients, let's not be penny wise pound foolish. Let's put in that money first, because then we are not being called to do the repairs in 5 years and 10 years time and things like that. Even the kind of plants we use, you have to be careful that the roots don't disturb it can even disturb the waterproofing. So we always put a root barrier. So when we design in deep roots or living products or any of our projects, we follow the absolute standards that we would follow in Singapore or Australia, where I'm from. So even the URA states certain guidelines. Like suppose you have a basement, like you see out here, if you have a basement parking,
Mhm.
what happens to even on the basement? They say, can you put the trees back? If you have any verticals, can it be? Why do you want to leave it like a dead wall? Can you have some greenery going on it? If you need this basement for ventilation, can you do meshes as well as open? Which we're seeing in India also now. Many of our Bombay projects we already started greening up the basements as well, wherever we have the basement, because now we have 4 5 floors of basements, and then parking, and then the building starts. And in many places in Bombay, we might not do too many basements because of the water level and the water table. Then obviously you have parking for the first 4 5 floors, and then the building starts. So then this entire facade can also be greened up, and they have certain guidelines of the angle of gradient of the green, because so we don't want the soil to flow off. It should be 30 degrees, 25 degrees to 30 degrees. And then there will be buffers. They'll say this buffer has to be for trees and plants, the edges. So many a times we are given projects where the road is stuck to the compound wall. We have to fight for, can you give us some green place for us to put the trees on the corners? And then even if they give us that green patch, the services guy will come and run his entire chamber along the compound wall. So then the trees or the chambers, we have to choose between the two. And we have a lot of challenges like that. So they say when even you're doing cutouts or refuge areas or certain floors where you have greens, Singapore very highly suggests that after certain floors, can you give a respite? Can you give a green floor as well? So when you do the green floor, they will draw the 45 degrees and say only this much part I'll consider in green, not the remaining. Because the sunlight is not coming in, it's not going to grow. So only whatever we feel the sunlight can come in this part of it, this area can be used in your green calculations. So they have given very detailed guidelines like this. I just put some of them to explain to people, but there are links. You can go to the URA website as well, and you have entire set of guidelines that somebody can download if they want to follow in India who want to learn more about it as well?
Now, the entire guidelines, like it's, I wouldn't say it, it's not very easy to do, first of all.
Yeah, yeah.
Second thing, lot of nuances in it. Like we have to consider loading, as you mentioned, waterproofing, drain
Correct.
cell. There's a
Correct.
lot of cost involved in this as well. So
Correct.
like if independent house, I can understand people will be willing to, like from in India, okay, independent houses, people will be willing to invest because it's the entire block is theirs. But
Correct.
when it comes to the developer perspective, in Singapore, again, like all are most of it are high rises. So
Correct.
what is their mindset? I know they have strict rules, etc., but how are they able to monetize this? How do they load this? The budget part of it, how are they able to maintain it? Because like if you were to like you rightly mentioned, if you were to propose such a heavy landscaping activity, a lot of them, I would say 70-90% of the developers wouldn't agree, because end of the day they'll say I have a land cost and I have a saleability cost. I don't think I can, manage uh, the profit, the viability wouldn't be there. So
Correct.
what is the
So
how is it achievable?
I was just talking about this to somebody. So now, I would definitely like to highlight some nice examples also of how people actually did it. Okay, so this is a very new, not a very new, just recently new Capita Spring. Everybody must be knowing about it because it's like the whole thing opens. The architecture style is absolutely fabulous by Big and Carlo Ratti. So what they did out here, if you notice, I think the best picture is this one. I'll push ourselves down so we can see. So this is your building, the box, the building box. But what they have done is they have got a skin around this. So the distance between the building and the skin, this all these terraces were converted into green pockets. So for 4 floors, this happens certain floors. I think it is the 16th to the 20th floor. You can actually come out and you start looping down, and you can go all the way down from the 20th to the 16th floor like this, wherein you have cafes, you have other kind of activities as well, which people can enjoy. So you can see you can start walking and coming down. So I see a lot of people after lunch going all the way down, then taking the lift up and walking up. So this has actually changed the way somebody would look at a office building. Typically, people would look at a box, maximize the entire FSI that you can get, and give the little space for the fire tender and the little landscaping. But these guys actually did something else. They started giving a lot of pockets and different floors, and they got the greenery into the pockets as well. But I guess this was also possible because, like I said, the government wants you to bring a lot of green into your projects and buildings. So I believe there was certain, I mean, I'm not sure about this, I will check, but I was told that they do get some extra FSI when they achieve certain green targets. That was one. And second thing, there was a small patch of time wherein the N park, so the government would also give certain money to make it green. Suppose it is going to cost you in your budget to green up the whole thing, N parks would also pitch in certain amount of money to help you with greening up all these things. And I was told that the builders are also given a certain set offs or whatever to maintain all of this once the project is done.
Mhm.
So obviously everybody understands price. It's very precious for us. Land is very precious, and I guess that's why Singapore is one of the most expensive country in the world as well. So we pay a price to stay in nature, as we say, all of us, and we are aware of that. And I think all of us agree to that as well. And pretty much people look at it as an investment and not an expense. So I think it's a mindset. The more the builders start looking at it as an investment and not an expense, and then you inculcate that as an habit to all the people we hand over, the societies or even the person managing this. So if I had a building that was green, and I have a Microsoft and I have a Google wanting to take a space out here, of course they will want to maintain it. They will maintain it because that's how you'll have to sell it. So you will have certain TGs who will be happy with this, and those are the clients for you then, if you want to go this direction, I'm sure.
Okay.
So I'll just show you another example also, which was again, it's in hospitality sector. And this actually changed how hospitality thought about bringing nature into hospitality segment. So this, you would go to a resort which would be on a ground floor, on a ground wherein you'll have acres of lawn or landscaping and whatever. But this project, Park Royale by Voha is the architect on this one. They completely changed the whole mindset. So it was just a C-shaped building basically. So it was these three towers, and they started adding these terraces, and then then this is what magic happened. You got all the nature coming into the spaces. This is how it is seen from down. When you're even on the street, this building stands out, you can still see it. And you have the swimming pool, you have all the activities, so nature became part of it. Every room opened out, they had a nature in front of it. So when you go into any of the rooms and you open out, you see lush planting outside. And the corridors didn't have AC. The corridors are no, it doesn't have air conditioning at all. Once you go into the room only, it was air conditioning. So it
Mm.
was sustainable as well. So it set a complete trend to how greenery can be, jumped into or pushed into hospitality projects as well. So I just wanted to highlight these two buildings, and I mean these two projects in Singapore as an example. And there are many that are coming up now, and each one of them is unique.
Mind blowing, actually.
Yeah,
Brilliant. Now, I would like to draw a parallel to India. I'm aware you have
sure.
done projects here. So, what do
Yeah,
you think can be done by the regulatory bodies here? As a matter of fact, we do have bodies like environmental clearance.
of
They
course.
have a guideline. Okay, so if your project size is above, say, 2,000 square foot or so, then there is a mandatory green cover, CSR, alternative energy of certain percentage you have to, provide. So, what more can we do to make it different here, like to become the next Singapore or so?
So I mean, most of our projects also go for lead gold or platinum and IGBC, of course. We follow all of that, and we have our environmental clearance has to be done, MOF has to be done. All that is there, and we are very happy that we have at least that much to do. Because given a choice, I think that will also be lost. We would be expanding into every inch of land to try and utilize it in some way or the other. I think, like I said, it's a mindset change that has to happen, and people should feel that there is no other way other than living with nature.
Mhm.
And the importance of living with nature has to be felt. You have to experience it, and that is, it's very simple. I always tell, if you're given a choice, you go to Dubai for a holiday, or you go to any of these hill stations for a holiday. When you come back, and you can honestly ask yourself, you will feel more rejuvenated and happy when you come back from a holiday from the hill station than Dubai. Dubai would last just for a few seconds or maybe a day because you've got all your goodies and stuff. But that calmness and the peaceness, and you feel, yes, that effect lasts for months when you come back from a nature-centric place. So I think it's a mindset that has to happen. And for people like us, landscape architects who want to bring this change, we need to be empowered. Like you very rightfully asked, can we do some changes into the bylaws, into the rules and regulations as well? Instead of, 10% mandatory, can we make it 20, 25% mandate? Can we also give the developer and builder certain FSIs or certain SOPs so that if he goes green and he does say 40% green or he does 50% green, can we give him more FSI also so that he can also make money out of the whole thing? But we are at the end, all of us, it's a win-win situation for all of us. We get the greenery we want, we get the nature we want, and he's also able to make money because, of course, all of us are in a business to make money. So I think
Mhm.
that could be one good step that we can take ahead. And of course, giving them certain discounts maybe in the government through the taxes that we pay. Maybe they can give certain discounts if it is a green building or a green certified like a platinum or a green gold. Can they also get some offsets in the taxes, your property tax or any other taxes that we do? Suppose I stay in a green building, can I get some offset in the property tax so that people will want to buy a green building apartment, an apartment in a green building which is sustainable or which has been certified? Can I get some tax offsets? So if the end user is getting a tax offset, he will be ready to pay that a little bit more to the developer to be able to stay in a green building as well or a green project. I think that could be some few things that we can start so that both the parties are happy.
Okay. I think, but should be, I don't know how we are going to make this happen though. It's a long process.
Yes,
Let's
I'm
see.
sure Naredko can help
Yeah,
if we
yeah,
can
yeah. I
raise
think
it with them.
Chitra ma'am has raised her hand. Um,
Yeah,
Hi,
hi.
Chitra.
Hi.
Hi.
I'll just take a minute and
Sure, sure.
okay. Yeah, just wanted to add to, as a reply to what Raji, and first of all, hi Raji, it is
Hi.
so engrossing and it's a lovely presentation and a very, very interesting topic and very close to all our hearts at
Yeah,
Naredco also. And especially this point that you brought out now that could we have some kind of, tax breaks and tax,
yeah,
benefit by buying into a green building? This interestingly, Naredco has taken up this point, and in fact, Smita has kind of negotiated with the Maharashtra government to bring in a reduction in stamp duty
Wow.
also, and
Excellent.
also talking about some kind of tax benefits, especially if you're buying into a green building.
Correct.
She's done it for for Maharashtra, and is also, now we are saying, now extend this, and it should
Yeah.
be that if you sorry, if you have a green rated building, then there should be a benefit to the end user, and that's where you can put pressure
Exactly.
on the developer.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they will only respond to the market.
Correct. Correct. I agree.
Yeah. So,
So,
and also on when you were just mentioning, I'll just take a minute, Sukanya.
No problem.
When you're talking about, projects where in Singapore you are required to have like 100% of your site area as green. So whatever is the plot area, you have to show that much as green. So interestingly, there are a lot of developers here in Delhi, especially M3M. I remember one of their projects was, when it was launched, the USP was that we have 110% green.
acha.
So what they did
Very
was,
good.
the terrace was also a terrace garden, and this tilt area also they had put in a lot of landscaping, because they had a double height stilt, not really a
Correct.
stilt. So the ground floor of the building was actually just meant for mobility and landscaping. And
Yeah.
the houses actually started off, residential units started off from the second floor level. So they had enough, angle of light to bring in, light to the plants below, and so the entire ground floor area was a very interesting landscaped walk area, and they had also landscaped the roof.
Excellent.
So yeah, this was designed by RCOP, and
Acha.
I don't know who was the landscape architect for this project, but yes,
That's a
usually
very
most
good idea.
developers have this problem of, as Sukanya was mentioning, when you say want more green, it's always a trade-off between what is the saleability and
Yeah.
the cost of land, and balance jo bach gaya goes into green.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Carry
True.
on. Sorry, Sukanya. Just thought,
No problem.
especially
Thank you so
since you
much.
mentioned that point about if Naredco can take it up. So just wanted to tell her that yes, Naredco is already,
In
working on this, and we want this to be extended to all the states in the country.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That'll be fabulous.
But
Yeah.
like I think if you make it happen,
Okay.
there's nothing like it.
True.
Yeah. So we spoke about the guidelines, etc. Now I'm very curious about the AQI levels in Delhi. So yeah, there's like it is in severe category. It has been in very poor category. So some of the reasons attributed is like the pollution from the vehicles, factories, and the crop burn. Now, Singapore, if you look at Singapore, Singapore also has very high density population. There's a lot of vehicular movement, and they also face haze from Indonesia, but not to
Yeah.
the extent Delhi suffers. So, as a landscaping architect, like how would you think this could be mitigated? In what best ways can this be done?
So I guess it is just the green cover, sheer amount of green cover we have in Singapore. Just imagine if most of the buildings are going to give you 70 to 80% cover to the land, how much of green cover we have.
Mm,
Pretty much. And also, what helps us is the regular rains because the rains dam down, bring down the haze as well. So we do get haze from Indonesia when they burn, and of course the government gives a very strict warning to them. There is always that it happens on a higher level as well, talking to them to not burn. But when that does happen, many of us have to shut down the windows. We also wear sometimes masks when we go out. It was bad about a year or two ago, but much better now. Last 2, 3 years we've not faced it. But I think basically it is just the sheer green cover that we have, the amount of planting that we do, and we are pretty much most of the time walking under trees or in landscape, unless you're working in the heart of the city, and then you're into the air conditioned system. So we are always either in air conditioned, very little open, and then under the trees. I personally feel it's the amount of green cover that we've been able to get. And as you know, in Singapore, it's not easy to get a car.
mm,
They make it so expensive that people don't want to even buy a car. So we always use public transport. I always say very proudly I use a $1 billion vehicle out here, which is my MRTs. I'm very happy to use those, and we're very proud to use that because it makes us feel as if we are doing some, I'm really happy that I'm doing something for the earth and I'm not polluting as well. Everything works efficiently, so we've got a good system of MRTs and taxis. You can call all your Uber, Ola kind of a thing whenever you want to go. So So making it very, very expensive to buy cars was another important point, I think, that they realized that they don't want to do. Imagine a small country, people just zipping around. It'll be like Indonesia, it'll take you 2 hours to go 10 kilometers from one end to the other. So that
Mhm.
was another huge point that helped us. We don't have vehicular pollution so much. And then, of course, they follow all the EU norms for the pollution as well. So your vehicles have to be, they give you a COE, as they call it, only for 10 years. And unless the vehicle is in ship shop, it's in a very good shape, they won't extend it. So there is a scrap point for the cars. You can't keep on running the car forever and ever and ever. So they are very strict about certain things so that, of course, the effluent is also controlled. And
Mhm.
probably these are the reasons that's adding to it, and we don't have that kind of a problem.
Okay, thank you. Raji, now can you take us through your initial journey and
Of
ethos
course,
of Deep Roots Design?
I'll do that. But I just wanted to talk about, empowering the user and why is it important to empower through what we do. So typically, as landscape architects, we normally design for the mind, body, and soul. You hear this word being just dropped around all over the place. Many a times they use that as a storytelling. So when you say mind and body, of course, I can understand. We'll have your jogging tracks, you'll have your sports facilities. You'll do all this stuff for mind. You might give a yoga space, you might even have a meditation zone, whatever. But many people don't even think, what are we doing for the soul? That part just, how do we enrich the soul? How do we empower somebody else? How do you bring empathy into the design? So when you say working with the soul, it's all about wellness, of another level altogether, wherein you're creating or spaces which is designed with empathy, which is also we call the word manuski in Marathi, where it is all about manavta, or working to involve all the beings including your smallest insect, including all the elements. So when you coexist is when you'll have biodiversity, you will have all the other elements working with you, and you'll be sensitive to each other. So I think we should design with, to empower others with empathy as well. And that has been our motto in the Deep Roots and Living Products. So Living Products Private Limited is established in Singapore. It's a private limited company, while Deep Roots Design is established in India. So I'm the owner and founder of both, like I said. My journey started after I did my architecture, 5 years of architecture, 2 years of landscape architecture. Pretty much started my journey in Mumbai as a solopreneur. And then it took me to Nagpur, where we had an all-woman team. We did pretty much the entire city of Nagpur between 2000 2005. Moved to Sydney, was working on the other side of the table with very high-profile people, picked up a lot of skills, and also realized my strength as storyteller. And when I moved to Singapore, we started the office in India. We have a bigger office in Pune, and we have teams in Bangalore, Kochi, Mumbai, and now recently a team member has been added in Bangkok as well. So we started as an all women office. We are majority women led now. And in, like you mentioned, also over 27 years, we've done more than 40 million square foot of work, and a lot of awards as well, including the Nared Kumahi Award, which we got, and the Singapore SME Award last year. So my journey started in this humble house. My grandfather built this place, and as you can see, it's a mangrove tile roof with the drumstick tree and the parijatam as well. So that's my little doggy there. Grew up in a house like this. I was very shy when I was growing up, and plants were my first friends. And chasing the butterfly was my at most look forward to activity of the day, running around with a butterfly. I remember the milkman used to bring sheep and goat, and at given point I had four dogs, sheep, goat. I even had cats. So grew up with all of them, and I think I had a very nice, blessed childhood. Somehow gravitated to being an architect, and while doing architecture, realized I wanted to be a landscape architect. So the values we provide is something very, very important, because when we do a business or you're in a business, it is not all about making money. You have to see what value you bring to the table for the other person as well. And so we coined ourselves as biophilic designers, and we follow biophilic principles. We are on multiple cities, so we can offer services also very quickly and fast. And which is something we did in COVID. We didn't stop a single day in COVID. We were working the entire 2 years in COVID as well. And we also do a lot of sustainable projects. And we are the only company that designs exterior landscape, interior landscape, and we also design products. So that's very unique. And I actually pivoted from being only an external landscape architect to an internal landscape architect to actually designing products as well, so that we are able to bring nature even in 6 inches of place. Our goal was to connect people to nature, and we could only do that by going macro, from macro to micro. And so that's the reason we started Living Products. So this is just a little bit about us. Who are we? Just some stats. 50% of my team is more than 5 years with me, and 40% is our corporate project. Most of our projects are sustainable. Like I said, we save 40% of water, 80% native species. We've got about 56 projects ongoing at any given point, and we have health insurance for our team members. Even though we are just a sole proprietor and it's not mandated, but we have health insurance for our team. We have financial advisors because it is my aim and goal to see all my team members retire as crorepati's at well. So I keep pushing them to save, and I also guide them. And my mentors are available for them as well. So it is not just a mentor for me. We have a mentor for the whole office, who also guide them on financial matters as well as on office matters. And like you've seen and you mentioned as well, we got a lot of very beautiful clients and very blessed with that. So what we do is called as biophilic design, and I think you had a question on that as well,
Yes.
and why this? Yeah.
Yeah, why biophilic design and what it is?
So this is a word that became very, very famous after COVID. So we've been following this for a long, long time. So what in simple language, I feel it is facilitating earthing. Anything you design and you have very fond memories of your grandparents or your childhood and gives you a smile on your face. So it should be a design that is dil se, that touches your heart, and it can touch your heart when you use nature elements. It can be working with the sun, it can be having the breeze going through into your space, just some beautiful fragrances when you're walking through, or even bird sounds. So even when you get up with bird sounds, and I bet you many of us who wake up with bird sounds have a beautiful day ahead. Many of us even listen to that kind of music as part of a meditation now because we don't get to hear them anymore. But even when you go for a walk and you have butterflies roaming around with you, so we use all those principles. We have certain materials that we use, we have certain proportions we use, we have also certain inspirations we use in our design, and that is why we call it as biophilic design. And we've noticed that when we use biophilic design, it is easy to create an experiential design, not just a design that looks pretty, but something that you can feel and you can experience when you're. So I'll quickly take you through some of our projects which follow the biophilic design as well. I guess I'll have to move us on top. So this is one of our recent project, Bagmani Rio, which is also Google Ananta in Bangalore, which we handed over about 2 years ago. So this is Google's headquarters. As you can see, we use a lot of native forest as a noise buffer. We adopted 52 trees on this project. So we got big trees transplanted from different parts of Bangalore, and the government was asking, do you want to use them? And we said yes, and we brought it onto our site. So we adopted 52 trees on our project as well, and most of them are native trees. We also utilized understanding how Google works. So the people in Google actually mix work life. It's a very fun way of working as well. So we created a lot of outdoor work pods. They can actually bring their laptop, sit outside and work as well. And this is something that was done for the first time in India, where we had outdoor work pods being introduced. So we were the first to introduce outdoor work pods where they can actually sit in nature and work, take calls, conduct meetings as well. So this is how it is. Google has actually painted the work pods to the Google colors. We also have water features to have the water sound so that it is very calm and nice when they want to come out and sit and work out here. Even the zebra crossings were inspired by the Kasauti weaving that you see in Karnataka is very famous for the Kasauti embroidery that you see on the Khan saris. So we use those Kasauti embroidery as well to create these kind of walking tracks as well as crossing zebra crossings. We also matched the planting to the pink tips. We call it, this is a pink tip ficus. We matched it to the pink color, the champagne color of the facade. We also used a lot of colorful flowers and plants as well on the project because the Google was all about. So this is how we managed to bring in that essence into the design, and we created an outdoor town hall as well, wherein you can actually have the Google put the Google Doodle of the day or something, so that you can actually see what's happening. So this was another project of ours for Microsoft, wherein we have 32 unique terraces onto this project, and every terrace had a different story. And we gave 32 unique GFC drawings as well onto this project. So every floor had a sorry about this. I'll have to cross this out. Sorry. So we had different terraces, and we had different concepts happening on this one as well, and they were all inspired by the art forms. So we had the wooden block art forms of this region, which was also used as patterns. We used the kalamkari design in Microsoft as well. We also I'll just give him a message. Yeah, we also used kalamkari kind of colors into our flooring and designs as well. And today, when you walk into Microsoft, this is the first project outside of Microsoft US wherein you have the tactiles. It is completely inclusive. We have Braille, we have tactiles. So I'm empowering every member to use this project or walk into this site and then, kind of enjoy the landscape on every part of the site, because we have empowered him with all these inclusive elements as well, so that he can actually enjoy the site and doesn't have to be led from one place to the other. He can independently walk onto the site. That was the goal. I'm sorry about this. I've just, but I'm constantly getting this. Sorry, I'll just tell them. I don't know how to get rid of that from the computer. But yes, so we created a lot of terraces and work areas where they can actually create, they can, we can have artisans come in and teach them how to work with wood. So on every terrace, we came up with certain activities for them, and that is how we designed the terraces. We also have an RC truck. You can bring your, the remote control cars and vehicles as well, and they can actually use it out here on the site. So then they can actually break free. They can also enjoy. So it's not always very serious work too. So these are some of the biophilic elements that we did onto the project and which I wanted to highlight in Microsoft. The lighting, the interior landscape, everything was in our purview. This is in Pune. It is for Capital Line. They are Singapore based. They are one of our big clients, and we do most of their projects in Pune. So this was on a podium. Again, the same challenge. They wanted a Singapore kind of a design, but of course the loading was only 2 feet of loading. So we had to work with the planting in such a way that it didn't feel as if we are only on 2 feet soil. Give them that lush look and feel. And wherever we had any pop-ups coming up, we handled it nicely. We made them into tables. We made them into pockets where people can actually sit and have fun. And this was the first project where we gave them absolutely state of the art sports facilities. So, this is an IT park which had absolutely all the sports facilities on the terrace and became a kind of trendsetter. So, wherein we were empowering people through wellness. We wanted people to stay healthy because the IT park, IT people are typically working long hours also and mostly sitting on the desk. So, we wanted them to enjoy all these things as well. And that's the reason we created an entire sports area onto the terrace, first project of its kind. This was a residential project, and why I highlighted this, it's called The Right Life. So this was a child-centric project because there were schools all around. And when you have a child as your client on this project, I always say the child has been my client on this project, not the client per se. And then you have to empower the child so that every inch of the site was safe for him. They could experience different kind of activities. They can also learn different kind of empathy or emotions as well onto the project. So we told them where are the various activities and what are the various emotions that they are going to learn onto the site as well. So we created a bump track for them, some unique activities so that they can feel bold. All the signages were also like Lego with seniors and children integrated. All these were like Lego blocks, and children can actually associate with it. And being a child-centric project, there were no harsh level differences. There were pram rams everywhere, so mothers can bring their children. Seniors can also walk comfortably. We were very, very mindful about being safe. So the lighting was done very nicely. So there were no dark pockets. And we knew children are going to be running around. So there were senior walking pockets were separate from the children's play area. And we gave them state of the art children's play area too. So it was empowering children to be a child and be free, be explore, run, play, fall. It's okay to fall as well. So we gave them a lot of areas where, they will have rongte khare ho jayenge. In the sense, there were certain play areas wherein they will be pushing themselves, pushing the limit as well. So we gave them those kind of things because they are the future generation of a country and they have to be bold. They have to learn what is failure and they have to learn to get up. So in landscape, we always work on the emotional aspects also to see that we are able to give more value to them, to the table. And then of course the children love water, so the swimming pool and the kids play was the soul of the whole project, including all your quieter zones for the family. And then there was a project that I did in Kenya which was based on feng shui. And if you notice the kind of detailing that we do as a landscape architect, people expect this courtyard didn't have a single plant, but it is still biophilic because it talks about the bonfire. It talks about how people associate to bonfires when they go into the villages and cities, because in Kenya it is not exactly very safe. So we wanted to create a space that feels absolutely zen and calm. So this has got a lot of awards as well. This project, when you come into the courtyard, is absolutely zen quality. It's got a calmness, a quietness into the whole thing, and I think we empowered them by making them feel safe. So every part of a design was empowering people in some way or the other. So that is how we kind of design. And we didn't stop at the exterior. We took it inside also. We got landscaping inside. We got fun elements inside, so that people are able to enjoy the plants and they're not stressed about maintaining the plants. So these are our patented products. We call them Harita, and they're part of the living products different business. And these have been used in Microsoft. We have greens on the top, we have greens climbing up, we have green walls as well. So we try and bring nature inside as well, so that people working on their desk as well, when they look out, they see some bit of green, and they at least, they feel really happy or they feel nurtured. So our
Thank you so
entire
much.
goal and
Uh,
purpose has been to bring nature inside in every space we do. And these have been some of our awards. And I was featured in a book released by the president of Singapore as well. So that was another highlight of my life. And of course, getting the various awards to date. Thank you
Thank you,
so
Rajni.
much.
Thank you. Um, truly, your design has empowered people in all ways, emotionally, socially, and even economically.
Yeah,
Not in
of
India, though,
course.
probably in Singapore. India, we will get there. I'm very confident
Yes,
we will get
sure.
there. I just have one last question here.
Yeah.
So, how do you see landscape becoming a medium that empowers women as designers, as leaders, and even as everyday users of the city? I understand you have an entire fleet of women working with you and changing lives, actually.
I personally feel, a mother can never go wrong. I always say that. So when you're a mother and you're a woman, you have that empathy in you anyways. You're wired like that. So I'm just saying, guys, why don't we just bring it into our design? Imagine all of us women who are designers, even not just landscape, even MEP consultants, even you as a developer. If you bring that empathy into your design, and your aim or your goal is to empower through design, imagine what a huge change we all will bring in, right? And I think it's completely doable. Just being sensitive and mindful. Like when you design a senior citizen place, see to it that the seats are 600, not 450, because seniors are not able to get up. They have a knee problem. They don't want any small changes in the design as well. Or when you're designing, even when you're, designing a walking, jogging track, why can't we put some small speakers which give you very nice music when you're walking and jogging to cut off all the phones and the calls that we keep getting as well? Can we have certain gardens where the phones are not allowed? I have been telling my client also, can I do a terrace where the children can't bring their phone? It's a no phone zone kind of a thing. And the my client who was very young, he was like, Raji, oh my God, I don't know whether I can sell this. But his father said, Raji, let's do it, let's do it, let's do it. Let's do one space where children can't bring their phone as well. So it will be a quiet zone. So small things like this will also empower them. They not realize anything, but it empowers them to think. It is empowering them to even, think about others, not even themselves. Think about others as well. So can we include urban farming? Can we include places where we can actually grow and share the produce with each other?
Be
Why
very
can't we
mindful
have
of.
urban forests, which are, fruit forests? Why should it be just kind of a monoculture? Why can't we do a fruit forest? Why can't we do biodiversity where we can have butterflies and birds coming into our project? Imagine a butterfly walking with you when you walk. I just love it when I see the butterflies. And I think, small pleasures like that absolutely help you de-stress as well. So it's another layer of adding to the design as well. And I think we all must follow that.
Yes, Chitra ma'am.
Yeah, hi. Hi, Raji. Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to ask you a couple of things, more from a design perspective. See, what I'm finding here in Delhi, I mean, this is not from a developer perspective, but more from as a resident and as somebody who's working in the civic space. I am also president of my resident welfare association, and I have a huge colony of about 800, 900 plots. So we are talking of
Wow.
about 1600 homes, at
Right.
multiple levels. And this is an old colony set up about 50 years ago. So we have really beautiful old trees, but we also have them interfering a lot with our existing infrastructure, especially with our stormwater drains, where the roots have kind of gone through the drains and are blocking at several points. So every monsoon, we have an issue where, streets are waterlogged. In some cases, in some places, of course, it is the residents who have created that,
Yeah,
problem
yeah.
by not providing the the gully traps at the right place, or they blocked it by building a ramp over it, so the water has no way to drain. But we have come across, two situations where the trees are so beautiful, huge trees, but they are totally blocked my, stormwater drain in the colony.
Correct. Yeah.
So the civic agency is also at a loss. So they don't know, because they cannot cut the tree, they cannot cut the roots, because then the NGT is on them. So now it is like, a fight between activists who are saying, no, can't touch the tree or the roots. And then you have the civic agency who says, how else do I drain the street? That's point one. Where, normally when we make a layout, you just mark trees at, certain locations. Maybe it is junction of two plots, and but then that footpath or pedestrian walkway area is also where the civic agencies are laying their infrastructure. So you have the stormwater drains. In some case it is stormwater, sewer, and the trees and the street
Yes.
lights. So it is like, how do you handle design, especially placing or positioning your trees in a situation like this?
So, like you said, as landscape architects, we are supposed to do a coordinated layout. Okay,
Hmm.
and BIM and things like that definitely help going forward. But we've been doing a coordinated layout even on a 2D at the SD stage, wherein we will
Okay.
coordinate the location of the tree and the services so that we know that now they will foul after some point as well. Second thing
Mm-hmm.
is root barriers. You get something called as root barriers. These are like
Okay.
sheets which you can lay on the floor also for especially when we have trees on the terraces, we always lay root barriers, as well as you can have them as vertical root barriers also, so that you
Okay.
can safeguard all your services if the trees are going to
Mm-hmm.
come close by. And then, of
Yeah.
course, the choice of the trees. It has to be deep rooted. The roots have to go down. It should
Mm-hmm.
not be the fibrous ones, which will
Yeah.
start climbing up and affect.
Mm.
So the layering has to happen very nicely when the services are on top and the roots go down, or we have these kind of barriers happening, or the services go in a trench where they're not going to be disturbed by the roots at all. So what
Mm.
happens is all these things, this is what we keep telling the clients, that don't be penny wise pound foolish. This should be part of your expenses. You have to
Mm.
do this now because later on you are going to fall into trouble if you don't follow these things. And budgets for these things have to be kept. We can cut
Yes.
short on a few things, like you can't take a 10 feet tall tree, you can take a 5 feet tall tree for now, or things like that. But these services are absolutely crucial. And as landscape architects, it is not about making a pretty picture. We have to get all these services coordinated nicely so that the end
Yeah,
result, even
exactly.
after 10 years, the client should always come back and say, even after 20 years, that everything is working beautifully.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think you shared so many wonderful ideas and wonderful
Thank you so
concepts.
much.
It was wonderful. It's a beautiful session that moderated very well by Sukanya as well. But there's so much content that you had, and I think that was most enjoyable.
Thanks a
And
ton. My
thank you
honor.
so much for sharing. And yeah, over to you, Sukanya.
Thank you. So we come to closure. So we have understood that landscape is no more decor, but it is something that is very functional. It
Yeah.
also displays our culture. It also makes us believe how we live. It takes us through the entire process. And through biophilic design, you have ensured people can experience all the senses possible. So thank
True.
you. It was wonderful speaking to you. Thank you for reminding us that landscape is not the background, but it is the stage on which life unfolds. And
Yes.
I would like to take it as an opportunity to thank Naredko Mahi leadership,
Yes.
Ms. Preeti, Ananta ma'am, Smita ma'am, and thank you Anshul and even Chitra ma'am. Thank you Anshul for setting up this entire grand December series. Thank you so much. And over to you, Anshul.
So I would just add, wonderful session. Both of you did excellent, and I don't want to miss thanking Bhanvi here because I think she really managed very well today. Thank you, Bhanvi. I
Thank you
think you
so
were just
much.
amazing, and you made it for
Mm.
Manasvi also. But I think you did excellent. So excellent session, friends, and I'm just loving doing this. Thank you so much. Have a great
Thank
time
you
in the
so
evening.
much.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. And thanks, really, Anshul. Thanks for this opportunity. Thanks, Sukanya. Thanks, Chitra. Bye, everyone. Thanks, Panvi.